My name is Hiwa K. I'm a visual artist and a musician. Come from Kurdistan of Iraq and living in Kurdistan right now. I'm invited to have a solo show here at the power plant. The exhibition is called Do You Remember What You Are Burning? And the title is driven from one of the videos that happened after 60 days of unrest in Kurdistan of Iraq in 2011, while during the Arab Spring. And Do You Remember What You Are Burning is a video where I invited activists and artists and young people to bring their books with a magnified glass and burn while they are reading, burn the content of the books. And one of the militias asked me, do you remember what you are burning? So it comes from there. And this exhibition consists out of kind of retrospective works, but also through that I go to a larger and broader topics, handling also issue of war, but also finding or unfolding it in a way that things that has been to be seen in order to avoid the stereotype of this kind of works. So one of the works is the Bell project, which I am presenting here, was outcome of 8 years of work, where I was filming this entrepreneur in Kurdistan of Iraq, where he's melting weapons and putting into cubes and classifying them according to the quality of the materials. From the outcome of this 8 years, I took 300 kilograms of bronze and I made a bell out of it from a foundry in Italy. We all know that during the history of Europe, bells had been always melted into weapons and to cannons. And in this situation, it's something you swap it. When I'm talking to this entrepreneur, his name is Najad, he knows which material, all these materials, all these weapons and armories, where they come from and in which year and where they have been used. Through that, you realize how many countries were involved in supporting or selling weapons to Iraq or Iran, or both of them at the same time. It's around 41 countries were involved. So he's like an archive for the war. Another project is, again, related to the Bell project, which is called What the Barbarians Did Not Do, Did the Barbarinis. It's a sand sculpture. The form is taken from the cupola of the Pantheon from Rome. And it's a life size, exact the size. And there is a rumor that the Vatican took lots of bronze from the ceiling of the Pantheon, and they made a sculpture of Bernini in the Vatican. At the same time, I was seeing also how these materials circulate and how this material is going. So in the foundry of this guy Najad also, they are doing the manholes for the whole city. They cast it into sand, and I used the same technique to do the Pantheon cupola. One of the works I'm showing also, two works I showed in Documenta. One's called it's called View from Above, and the other is called Preimage, Blind as a Mother Tongue. View from Above and Preimage, they are both also connected to someone I quote very often under the name of K, and that's why I call myself also Hiwa K. Preimage took me 2 years to do this filming, starting from Evros, the river between Turkey and Greece, and taking all the way where refugees and migrants are taking since decades. So the work ends in Rome, in Foro Italico, this stadium, beautiful stadium, which was built in the time of fascism, where I balance an object on my nose. I stick with attached to it many mirrors from motorbike, from bicycle, from cars, from different sizes. And the way I balance it on my nose, I look upwards, so I cannot see my way. So I have to navigate through the mirrors, seeing my feet and seeing what's coming on my way. This work is tracing, as I say, that way, but also it goes from autobiography, it goes to more metaphorical, philosophical handling of issues of cultural dominations, of colonialism, of the impact of cultures upon each other. So the work also ends through in Italy, and in Foro Italico for me looks like a cemetery. Cemetery for that beauty, cemetery for those European values that here in this video at the end, I look at this status and they're all athletes, just saying like why they are not running anymore. Maybe they run faster than their memories. So I'm talking about, how the new fascism, which is another side of the coin with neoliberalism, with free market economy. Fascism always wants you to forget about the past and go to be in the sake of the future. That's why we all artists and curators and everyone is so career driven and trying to make profit, and they're overdosed in beauty. So it's just like it was a warning. I think when I did this work, Trump was not elected, but there was a rumor that he will be the next president. It's not only about Trump personally, but it's about the new era. One of the other works here I'm showing is called Moon Calendar, where I took a stethoscope from a doctor and I revisited a building which was a prison back then in the time of Saddam Hussein. And after 16 years of not seeing that space, I'm revisiting it. So in the time of the Kurdish uprising, I encountered that space in a different way. I encountered bodies of human for the first time. Yeah, in the film I'm not talking about this at all. I'm just like taking that stethoscope and my flamenco shoes, because I'm trained as a flamenco guitarist and I was working also back then with a flamenco dancer. So I was taught by her to do the tap dancing, and this work I'm going through that prison and trying to listen to the heart and trying to translate it into my footsteps, some different complicated irregular rhythms also, which comes from different cultures. But at the same time I'm using the same strategy what whales do. Whales, they send a sound and this kind of sonic measurement of the space. And so through this, somehow in this work, I'm measuring memory without touching it directly. So two other works, one is called This Lemon Taste of Apple. This video is about the Kurdish uprising in 2011, where people didn't believe anymore in these promises by the Americans' invasion to the country, and they realized that's not for freedom, not bringing freedom, but it's about exploitation. Apparently democratic form, but it's not a democracy at all, because it's only making the rich richer. And since 2003, Iraq signed for Monsanto to come in. So we are using all Monsanto products and we are not allowed to use our own grains, which are at least 8,000 years old. One of the first bombs hit the country, it hit the bank of seeds. And that's what I'm talking about, the neo-fascist in a form of neoliberal economy. It's coming. It always tries to cut you from your past, from your bank, from your heritage, preventing us from all form of life. We can't taste food as it was. The country is open for so many foreign investors, and they can take 100% of their profits out of the country according to the law, which they did. This series of works called It Almost Hit the Heart. It's a more, I find it a bit of cute way of handling some news. And this was the time of Abdul Karim Qasim, where he came to power from 58 till 63. And it's about the moment of assassinating him. My father was a calligrapher and a propaganda calligrapher. So he was not doing it only for love, but he was doing it to earn his money. And it's also connected to one of my works called My Father's Color Periods, where my father puts color folios on black and white TVs and cutting forms in order to get color. So I'm using the same technique of my father and this technique, naive technique, in order to talk about certain events and talk about that assassination, talk about this 5 years of history of Iraq. So it's just like someone who's a writer who's writing about a memory of 5 years of somewhere. So it's not a statement about anything.